some bad news. I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
Buffalo, all your babbling is interfering with my machine. So for the next few minutes, please just do me a favor and kindly shoot!
Hello, ladies and germs. Welcome to episode 307 of the Hoots podcast. The road to 500 continues, and the road to 200 subscribers on YouTube continues. Make sure you go to youtube.com, type in the Hoots podcast, find our channel, subscribe there, and like this video as well if you're listening to the podcast this week. It's yours truly, the nefarious brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. I'm flying solo this week on the podcast. For those who are looking out for Brother Carter, he's out of town this week. But good news, next week is going to be a big week. Not only is it our WrestleMania Backlash prediction show, but also we got it's my birthday week. My birthday is next Saturday. So next week on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, will be our episode 308. And we have Brother Carter will be here live with me for the first time since episode 300. So no via satellite next week. Brother Carter's back in the flesh. Full-length video of you get to see me and Brother Carter do our thing together, and it should be a fun time. But in the meantime, make sure to follow Brother Carter if you could at Derek Stein on Twitter, and make sure to check out DerekStein.com. He is the man. But don't fret, you have your usual features on the show. We will have a new edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. There's it's going to be a good week for that segment when I'm starting to doze off and taking short naps while trying to transcribe that episode. That's the name. My Lord. By the way, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you'd like at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And that's pretty much it for plugs. It's like also for those who are listening or watching the podcast for the first time, I just want to say thank you for giving this podcast a chance. This is not your atypical dirt sheet show, blah, 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 blah. This is a laid-back experience. I want you to feel like I'm sitting next to you and we're talking about professional wrestling. And the charm of today, not only is my favorite day of the week, but today we're celebrating the 6th anniversary of the Hoots podcast today, the pilot episode that I recorded with Adam Daly in 2016. It was right around this time in 2016 where we did our first pilot, aka Shooting the Shit. It's on our YouTube channel. You can find the pilot edition of the Hoots podcast. And it's just pretty cool that we reached this part. Like I said in episode 300, I didn't think we'd get past 100 episodes, let alone 300. But the fact that this show has staying power and people want to listen to this show and people want to send me questions and stuff like that, and they enjoy what we do with What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, and they get the gist of why we do the segment, it's really motivating. And I really get excited to come in here in the studio and literally record the show for you guys. I really do. And I hope it resonates with you. I hope it's a positive experience for you. Even when we have difficult topics to discuss, like today. I've been putting it out on Twitter and stuff over the last couple of days, and I just wanted to forewarn everybody, I am going to be discussing this Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing that's going on the trial. And I think one of the things with the Hoots podcast is that we leave no stone unturned, and we're not afraid to hide from certain topics. I know, especially when me and Adam were first doing the show together, I think that was one of the things that really made us stand out, that we would talk about mental health and relationships and a lot of that stuff. And, of course, there'll be a comedic twist to it, but I think it's very important to discuss this because there's one glaring thing that I've been really taking away from this trial, and it's just the lack of awareness from women, and when it comes to acknowledging that men's mental health matters as well. And, I'll save my thoughts for that, but it's going to be in the beginning part of this podcast. But all in all, it should be a good episode. Let's get to it. Let's start off with the Good Brothers Q&A session. All right. We're going to start it off as we usually do with the Good Brother Chris Aletta. We got a lot of questions this week. Got questions this week for Chris Aletta, the return of my good brother Sam Pioppo at Second City Sam as well. And we got a couple questions from Mike at Main Event Swerve. So the Good Brothers came in for the boy today. Excuse me. Yeah, came through for the boy this week. All right, here we go. Oh, wow. We got a personal one right off the gate. All right. True or false, almost every friendship goes through its ups and downs. It's true. I had my ups and downs with people. Everybody has their ups and downs. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It could be a family member. It could be who you're dating. It could be your best friend. Everybody has ups and downs. I just think it's unrealistic to live your life and think everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies. But also, I'm a person that lives with a glass half full mindset. And I'm cognizant of what I'm doing and the energy that I want to surround myself with. And for me, it's more important to keep me true to what I am and why I have that connection or that friendship with somebody, as opposed to letting things that are out of my control be a source to lash out towards the people that I care about. And I think a lot of us allow our jobs, our other relationships, et cetera, just the realities of life to affect other relationships we have with our friends and stuff like that. And I don't think that's cool. Yeah, it's great to vent and open up to your friends because that's why they're there for you. But also when it comes to a point where it's taken away from the friendship and the dynamic that you guys have in the first place, that's the sucky part of it. But also, I think, let's be honest too, Chris, I don't feel like a lot of people really understand the difference of being a friend and being in a relationship with someone. You know what I mean? When it comes to, especially relationships, if you're dating or you're married or whatever the situation is, there's going to be ups and downs. And I've heard this saying, and it's very true. It's never going to be perfect, but you get to choose who you want to struggle with. And I think that same thing can apply with friends too. Like, you're going to have your bad days. You're going to feel like nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody wants to hang out. Hell, I'm the master of feeling lonely, and nobody wants to reach out to me, and nobody wants to hang out. And I have my bad days too. I do, despite my busy schedule. I'm grateful for the fact that I have my career and I have my transfers to distract me from the feelings that I have of loneliness. And I have a lot of my friends like you. They're out of state, so I don't really get to see in person and hang out like that. So there's a lot of times where I feel down and I feel like I don't have that normal adult experience. But, I make the best out of it by doing things that I care about and blocking that negative energy out of my head, So, yeah, friendships, there's always going to be ups and downs, but you also have to be self-aware of who you want to have those ups and downs with and who you want to struggle with, because those are the people that are going to be there for you through thick and thin. And that's always the way I've been approaching friendship, and I always kept true to who I am. I've had my ups and downs with Adam. That's still my brother to the end of the day. There was a time where we stopped talking to each other. And a lot of this always goes back to communication. And I know that we hide behind our phones and stuff like that, but, life is still life. And if you want to get to the root of whatever issue you have with a friend or whatever the situation is, the best source of it is not texting somebody. It's not sending a Facebook message. Talk. Call somebody. If you have something to say and you have an issue, say it. Don't ghost people. If there's something that's upsetting you with your friend, be upfront with it. Do not let something that's bothering you fester, because that's the stuff that fractures friendships in relationships because we don't have the ability to say whatever the fuck we need to say. Speak up. Trust me, life becomes a lot more simple when you could actually talk. Hey, and look, I'm not perfect. I'm not. I've been shy a lot of times in my life, and I've hid my thoughts and feelings and a lot of things. But the charm when it comes to a platform like this and this podcast is that I'm letting myself loose. I don't care what anybody thinks of what I've gone through or anything like that, because I am in tune with my reality and the stuff I've overcome. I know my story. Not other people may appreciate it, may like the person that I am, but I'm not going to drag myself down if they don't know everything about me or they want to go off of perceptions of me or whatever the case is. You know, for me, I keep it real true to myself, and I keep it 100 to a fault sometimes. People may not want to hear the truth at times. Maybe I'll say something they don't want to hear, but I'm not going to be tied to social media to have a real conversation with somebody if we're having a down period in our friendship. If you have something to say, say it. It's not that hard. It really isn't. And I wish people understand that. The only way you're going to solve conflict, regardless of whatever predicament, whether you're married or you're dating or you're having a friendship with somebody, it's communication. If you can't talk through the situation, if you need to hide behind insults and texting and Facebook messaging or whatever, you're getting yourself in a situation you can't get yourself out of. So, yeah, of course, there's always ups and downs. But the true friendships and relationships that push through that, those are the ones that matter at the end of the day. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Next question. Biggest need for the Bulls this offseason? Pretty simple. More shooting guards. It's great that we have guys like DeMar and Zach LaVine, etc., that could use their athleticism to get to the paint and stuff like that and do the mid-range stuff. But we need more three-point shooters. I don't know who are free agents this upcoming offseason for the NBA, but, you know, go about it. And we just need more shooting. It really is. We need more three-point shooters. And I'm not saying the Bulls have to become a three-point shooting team, but it's like we have a good team, but we get bogged down by, you know, here comes the Bucks, and we get our ass kicked this series by Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton. All about it. And what do? Shoot threes. We need bench guys that can shoot threes. That's what we need. So I know everybody can say, oh, let's get a superstar. Oh, let's try to get Kevin Durant. Bulls are not getting Kevin Durant. So, yeah, I'd just say more quality players off the bench. That's what we need. We need to upgrade our bench mob. How many trades will we see in the first round of tonight's NFL draft? You know what, Chris? I'll probably say 2 or 3. That'd be my guess. Usually when it's a quarterback-heavy draft, maybe you would get 4 or 5, but just the way that this NFL draft has been promoted and discussed going into tonight, I think that you probably get 2 or 3 at the most, probably. Thoughts on Asuka and Ali's returns on Monday? I did both of them. I'm gonna expand a little bit more on that in the WWE segment, but I thought it was really cool for both of them. By Slammiversary, who should be Josh Alexander's biggest threat to the Impact World Championship? That's a great question. Humana. That's a great question. I've been trying to figure that myself. I just hope it's not something where, we need to bring somebody else from a different company to say, this is a big marquee match for Slammiversary. This year is the 20th anniversary for Impact Wrestling. And, I would say for me, it's between 2 guys. It's either Eddie Edwards or Sami Callihan. Should be the ones that should fight Josh Alexander for the Impact World title, especially with Eddie Edwards' heel turn. I I don't know when Sammy's coming back from his injury. Probably be more of like Sami Callihan against Moose, I would expect at Slammiversary. But I would say for now, Chris, my pick would be Eddie Edwards to be the one to fight Josh Alexander at Slammiversary. If you think about just with the history and what Eddie has meant to the promotion and also the wave and momentum that Josh has had over the last couple of years, again, we got to get to the point where we hold these wrestling promotions accountable by having an identity, and you got to stick true to who you have. I don't want to see Josh Alexander against Lance Archer or God knows who else from New Japan or AEW. I know we have the Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming up, and I'm excited for that. But the concept of the Forbidden Door, I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm exhausted when it comes to the Forbidden Door stuff. I really am. So I stay true to the homegrown talent that you have on your roster. So I'll say Eddie Edwards. Next question. With Backlash being next week, are we trending towards Roman Reigns not being on the show? That's a good question as well. I'll just say this. I think tomorrow's SmackDown will be a key. That tomorrow will be a good indicator of whether or not Roman Reigns will be putting his title on the line at WrestleMania Backlash. We'll have to see. I don't think he has to put his title on the line at Backlash, but if he does, I'm not gonna have a problem with that either. So we got a couple more. We got this tomorrow's episode, which was taped in Albany last week, and then we got the next week's episode as well. So, yeah, Chris, I say right now, I say 60-40 that Roman Reigns will be on the show. All right, next question. Should there be rotating commentators for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view for each hour? I don't think JR and Excalibur should call the whole show, and hope not. You're not alone with that, my friend, because I've had my fill of Excalibur on commentary. It's an acquired taste, to say the least. I'll say this: I don't know what they're gonna do. I think probably Excalibur will be the primary play-by-play guy because it's looking more like AEW is the one that's making this pay-per-view happen more than New Japan. It's like, okay, New Japan is accepted. Hey, we can get some more exposure. Let's do this thing with AEW. AEW is the beloved child of the internet hardcore wrestling fans, right? So you could, I wouldn't say that New Japan is trying to piggyback off of AEW, but that's just the vibe I get from how the promotion is, marketing-wise and stuff like that. So I can see Excalibur taking the lead of most of the matches. I just hope it's something where it's not like, oh, Kevin Kelly gets only called 2 or 3 matches, and then it's just whatever, If anything, please don't have Shivani calling matches. Please don't. All due respect, and I'm going to get to this later on, but I had enough of Tony Schiavone. I respect everything he's done in his career and everything he did in WCW, but that dude needs to wrap it up. He needs to go home and stay home. Or at least just do the backstage interviews. So I would hope so, Chris, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I think it's going to be more of a AEW-heavy show, but with New Japan attached to it. So we'll have to see. I love the questions this week, man. You killed it. Next set of questions this week comes from the good brother Sam Piopo at Second State. Sam, by the way, shout out for Sam and his lovely new wife, Hannah, who recently got married, and they just got back for their honeymoon. So I just want to give a shout out to you, my brother. I'm proud of you and glad you trying to get back on your feet, back in the city and back in the grind, my man. I hope you're doing well. So this is an interesting first question here. Lee's favorite music artist. It's changed a lot over the years. It's even crazy to say, like, there's a couple of Justin Bieber songs I like now because when I was in high school and like 10, 12 years ago, I couldn't stand it, dude. I don't there's part of me that I still don't enjoy his music, but there's a couple of sessions here and there recently that I've really liked. But Justin Bieber is always one of them on the top of my list. I'm not a big Sam Hunt fan, country-wise. My music taste it spans all horizons, so bear with me, guys. I may go over the place with this answer, but yeah, I'm not really a big Sam Hunt guy. I think Miranda Lambert, I liked her older stuff, but her stuff now is kind of to me. I am not a fan of today's modern rap artists. I can't tell you one modern rap artist besides Kendrick Lamar. Like I'm losing touch on how many rappers have the name Little or Young attached to it. You know what I mean? I'm losing touch on it. I don't even know who would be out there. Not a BTS fan. Sorry. I dabbed into like pop music when I was younger and a kid. All that NSYNC stuff and Backstreet Boys, I was into it. Hey, no harm, no foul here. But I can't get into BTS. That's a great question, man. Let's see. Who else I'm not really like a big fan of? Man, that's hard to pick, you know. I think that's probably it for those off the top of my head that I could say. There's been so many music artists that come and gone that I kind of forget whether they're still making music or not. But those are the ones off the top of my head that I don't enjoy anymore. That's a great question, though. Next one. What is your overall opinion of the job Tony La Russa is doing as a manager of the Sox? I just think right now Tony's in a lose-lose situation. One, a lot of the fans of the White Sox did not want him as a manager in the first place. So regardless of what the team does or the struggles, it's going to go back to, Jerry made a mistake and, he just wanted to bring his buddy in. So he has that perception tag attached to him, and people are going to hate watch. That's the society that we're in today. So I would say hate watch in this case with Tony La Russa. I would say more of confirmation bias. We're in the era of, see, I'm right, you're wrong. I have confirmation bias on whatever topic it is. And a lot of my generation, a lot of people act like they're the smartest people in the room and they have the answers to everything. Look, I respect Tony La Russa and everything. He's not as a general manager. Did I want somebody else? Of course. But I'm not going to take that away from him for the fact that the team made the playoffs last year. Seems like the White Sox can't catch a break when it comes to injuries. So this opening part of the season hasn't been great. I mean, we did start off good. I think we were like 6-3 or 7-2 or something like that. And then we had this big rash of injuries and this losing streak that's gone on. So for me with baseball, I can't look at baseball through the lens of me as a football fan. You know what I mean? Everybody lives and dies off those results during the NFL season. And I understand that it's only 16 or 17 games a season. But with baseball, I can't do that. As much passion that I have for Chicago sports, I can't, live and die through every result of a baseball season. One, because baseball is not as entertaining as it was or as important to me as it was when I was a kid. And B, I look at the talent on the roster right now for the White Sox, and yeah, they're not firing on all cylinders. But I still think at the end of the day, talent oversees whatever's in front of them or whatever obstacles. If there's too many injuries, it gets in the way. Okay, maybe they don't make the playoffs. But right now, I am not at the point of my fandom with the Sox where I need to make a conclusion right now on April 28th of whether they're going to make the playoffs or not based off the start they're in. Overall, I would say for Tony La Russa, I'd say maybe a B- or C. But for me, I'm not going to go on my way with everybody, see, this is why he should be hired, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm just not going to do that. I don't have the time or energy for it. Pay-per-view favorite pay-per-view theme songs over the years? Great question. There's one that they had in Chicago for Extreme Rules 2012 by Shinedown. It's called Adrenaline. You guys should check that out. That sounds badass. There's been a lot of great WrestleMania theme songs. Obviously, My Way, of course, is I know Chris Letta will mark out for that. That's probably one of his favorite wrestling pay-per-view songs of all time. I was really a big fan of the songs that they had for WrestleMania 22. Another Shinedown song was I Dare You. That was a great one. I'm trying to see what else was did that. Big Time by Peter Gabriel. That's another one that was really good. I look at takeovers that it was crazy thing. Judas was for Fozzy was the theme song for the first NXT takeover in Chicago. I remember that because that was the one with how apropos that was because you had the Tommaso Ciampa turn on Johnny Gargano that same night. I thought that was cool. Hey, you heard me there first. Me putting over Jericho. Don't get your hopes up because that's not going to last long on this episode. Trust me. That's a good question. There's a lot of them I can pick out, but those are the ones that stand out to me so far. Do you think NJF would be better off in WWE? Quick answer, yes. Do you think Jim Ross even likes AEW's product? It just doesn't seem like he enjoys himself while broadcasting. I like to say that maybe JR appreciates the paycheck and the opportunity to go to wrestling events and stuff like that, and this had that title of being a broadcaster, but you listen to his snarkiness and the stuff that he says during the show, I think he appreciates the opportunity to still make money in the business and keep his mind off of other things because he's gone through a lot over the last couple of years, obviously, and obviously you never want to go through that where you're still alive and you lose the love of your life like that. Like JR's gone through a lot, and I'm a big fan of JR. Obviously, everybody knows that JR is an idol of mine. He's the reason why I'm doing this, and it sucks. Like I want to enjoy my favorite announcer call the matches, but it's like I don't hear Jim Ross anymore. I don't hear JR specifically. I don't hear that anymore. I hear a guy who is doing like a watch-along style commentary of the show, or sometimes I can't tell whether he wants to do a watch-along with Conrad or he's trying to watch the show through a lens of a scout and a combine scout. Like, you're not calling the NFL combine, you're calling a wrestling event. And I don't know if it's just the nature of him just getting older and more grouchier and snarky, but he takes away a lot for the broadcast. I'm just gonna be honest, and that's a thing that I feel like really takes away from my enjoyment of the AEW product is that commentary team. All around, it's just not good. It's just not good, and you can tell that you have all elite wrestling and your wrestling style is elite and your product and what you produce is elite, but your commentary ain't elite. You have a lot of names, but the quality of the content that they're spewing out for the last 3 years has not been good. And I don't think anybody has the balls to ask Tony Khan to ask him what he thinks about the state of his commentary team. Because the best commentary team that AEW's had in the 3 years that they've been going on is Excalibur and Taz. Like, I enjoyed the Rampage commentary here and there. I don't need to hear Ricky Starks. You don't need three people on a commentary booth. When you hear Excalibur and Taz on Dark, they're probably the more enjoyable that I could get out of that promotion when it comes to commentary. But I don't think anybody has the balls to ask Tony Khan what he thinks about the state of this commentary team. Because, the easy answer would be like, oh, I got Tony Schiavone, I got JR. What do you mean the state of my commentary? There's a lot of glad-handing and a lot of, passing it back. There's not really anybody in AEW that has that ability to say no or this is not good. I feel like everybody's just lying to themselves at a lot of times, and everything with the whole creative freedom and stuff like that. I just think a lot of people are fooling themselves, and there's no continuity directors there. There's no filter throughout AEW within their organization and how they produce their shows, and that comes out through how you hear JR. He'll be bearing an angle while it's trying to develop during the segment. And I appreciate the fact when he mentions this stuff about the referees, because I'm not playing dumb. I'm not blind to what I see when I'm transferring the show. So I'm glad that he calls that out too. But yeah, I don't think he enjoys the wrestling that they present. He's there. He enjoys the atmosphere of being in the crowds and stuff like that. But I don't think he enjoys the wrestling that AEW does. I just don't. As a child, what wrestlers made you hate them the most? Oh, that's a great question. William Regal. There's two guys when I was a kid that I couldn't stand, and this is how good they were. It was William Regal and Christian. William Regal more because he was like an authority figure at the time, and I just couldn't stand him. And then Christian too. Also, I was not a big fan of Jonathan Coachman growing up as a kid. Like it always popped me when The Rock would just embarrass him and somebody's doing the backstage interview. But when like Jonathan Coachman was working with Eric Bischoff, and they're like, it was his assistant when Eric was the general manager of Raw. Oh my God, the coach was annoying as shit. So I'd say William Regal and Christian was that I just couldn't stand as a kid. And growing up, so that's a good one. I know a lot of people expect me to say Triple H, but no, I've been a big Triple H fan ever since day one, so I wouldn't add him to that list. All right, 5 wrestlers from the past that should have been world champions. Roddy Piper, Kurt Hennig. Was Ted DiBiase a WWE champion? I say no, so probably had Ted DiBiase there too. Let's see. That's a tough question. Mark Henry was a champion. Obviously, Big Show's a champion, so I can't say those. Jake the Snake, obviously. Jake was never the world champion. Ricky Steamboat was never a world champion in WWE. I think he was in WCW. In NWA, I'm sure for that he was, but never a WWE champion. If I look at the current guys right now, I mean, as much as people talk about the guys that were buried and didn't get a chance and then got released and stuff like that, none of them really stood out to me as being WWE champions outside of Cody Rhodes. So now Cody has a chance to redeem himself in the second run, and we'll see if that goes down. But that's a great question. I think it's a lot more of the guys from like the 80s, during that time, of 80s and early 90s of WWF that I would say missed out on the opportunity and probably should have been world champions. All right, next one. Draft tonight. Final selections for our Bears. I'm going to go by position because I haven't really been paying close attention to the players that are available. I'm just going to say right now for 39 and 48, which is where the Bears are picking for Friday night, I'll go with receiver first, and then if you can find a tackle or a guard for 48, I'll go with that. If not, my other option would be wide receiver and quarterback. Not cornerback, okay? We need some more defensive backs, especially with our new defensive scheme. So I'm going to say wide receiver and cornerback. If you can find a way to trade back and get some more picks, I would not scoff at that. I wouldn't think that'd be a bad idea, but I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I will say this, though. I like the demeanor that Ryan Poles carries himself with. I enjoy watching his press conferences and stuff like that. He reminds me a lot of myself. He's going to cut to the chase and just say what he needs to say. So, and he speaks for himself. So I think it's cool. I don't think he's going to be fazed by that media market. And I'm hoping for success for him and Flus. I like the whole thing with the hit stuff and stuff like that, bring back that physicality and that edge identity to the team. So I'm curious to see what they do tomorrow. Honestly, they can't do anything tonight because we're trading for Justin Fields. So, yeah, we'll have to see if Justin Fields is worth it this season. Next question. I like this one. Gyro or Chicago-style hot dog? Gyro. All the way. I don't mind a Chicago-style hot dog, but if you have to ask me, if I have to pick one, I'll go with gyros, okay? Those are the best. All right. In order. Name the Chicago teams that are the biggest dumpster fires right now. Let's start this off. Blackhawks, 1, 2. Bears, 3. Oh, man. This one's going to be controversial. All right, let's do it. Number 1, Blackhawks by a long mile, and I think even you would agree with that with me. 2, Bears. 3, I'll say Cubs. 4, Bulls. And then 5, White Sox. I still think the White Sox are going to be ahead of most of the teams in the city as far as their potential, their future, what the outlook is coming out from there. But I had the Blackhawks and Bears tied at 1-8. They're like 1-8. What would be? You can flip them over in this list, in this power ranking, because they're both dumpster fires. So I'd say Hawks, Bears, Cubs, Bulls, and White Sox. That'd be my list of dumpster fires right now. It's not a good time to be a Chicago sports fan. I'll agree to that. It does resemble a clown show at times, but I appreciate the questions, good brother. You killed it as always. I appreciate it, my man. All right. Next question comes from Main Event Swerve and Mike from Houston. What's going on, good brother? With Randy Orton celebrating his 20th anniversary in WWE, what is your favorite Randy moment overall? Oh, man, that's a great question. I think for me, if I had to pick a moment, it's probably seeing him do the RKO to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. I was there for that event, and just seeing that in person was just so fucking cool to see, man. Hey, I don't know if this will give me flack or whatever, but honestly, if you want to talk about just best pure performers in sports, you know, and guys that are like second generation and blah, 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 blah. If you want to talk about your Ken Griffey Juniors of the world or Peyton Mannings of the world, when it comes to legacy performers and athletes, I would definitely say that Randy Orton's definitely the Ken Griffey Jr. of wrestling in WWE. Or Peyton Manning of WWE. Randy Orton's that good, and his legacy lasts for a long time. And I don't think he's even close to being done, which is the fun part of all this. And yeah, so congrats to Randy for doing 20th year in WWE. That's pretty dope. All right, last question for the Q&A before we get to this Amber Heard, Johnny Depp stuff. Also, different topic. Going back to transcripts, how long does it take you in real time to finish the transcript for an average wrestling show? Is it all in real time? Do you watch it back and make necessary changes, or does it take several hours after the show to finish it? The only shows that I do in real time, and unless there's a pay-per-view that I want to cover live, the only shows that I do live are AEW Dark and Elevation, and probably MLW too. So those shows are usually an hour long each, but I say for those, they run an hour long, but usually it takes me 90 minutes to do all of those. Sometimes it may take me 2 hours to do AEW Dark, or 2.5, because sometimes they'll add on like 14 matches on the AEW Dark card, which is ridiculous at times. But yeah, I say for those ancillary shows that you get on YouTube, it probably takes me 90 minutes at the most to do those. For Raw, it takes me 2 hours and 10 minutes to do each week. But the thing with Raw, I don't do it in real time because usually I wrap it up with Elevation, and then I try to sneak in dinner in between that. So when it comes to Raw, I usually do it in delay. So usually, Raw's 3 hours. It'll take me usually 1 hour, 45 minutes, or 2 hours to type out the show. Now, when it comes to the Raw articles, it's a little different because I'm typing out dialogue. Typing out dialogue and promos it takes longer for me to do than matches. I know it's crazy to think that, but doing these type of transfers for a song, I just got accustomed, and I got this routine of how I know how to transcribe a wrestling match really fast and type out all those moves really quickly, and I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed to have that ability, I guess. But I would say that for like a Raw or SmackDown, it'd take me at least 90 or to 1 hour and 45 minutes to type out those shows. Dynamite, I watched Dynamite twice on Wednesday nights. That's a shoot. I watched Dynamite twice. I watched it live, so I have the outline of it perfectly. And then I do the transcript after. So usually Dynamites take me 2 hours. Maybe 2 hours. I'd probably say 2.5 hours to type out Dynamite. It really takes a long time to do that. And then for a domestic New Japan show, it takes me 3.5 hours to do. If it's a big time New Japan show, it'll take me 4 hours to type out. So usually, if it's not a YouTube show, I usually wait to whether the show's over to catch up with it and do it from there. Very rarely do I find myself doing a show that I have to wait for the next day to do, unless it's not uploaded online. You know what I mean? So I can do shows in real time, but just with my schedule, and I prefer the quality of my transcript than instead of rushing it out. You know what I mean? So I would say, for the most part, I like keeping it the schedule that I have right now, where I could do a show where I can make a transcript, even though the show's already been posted for an hour. Like NXT UK, I can pump that out maybe an hour or two after it's over, or even Impact Wrestling. It's be a little bit different now because I'm actually going to be doing Impact Live. But I'll just say that, for me, when it comes to the transcripts, collectively, I do around 17 to 18 shows a week on non-pay-per-view weeks. And usually I get around to 50 or 60 hours a week of the shows. In the time it takes me to do the transcripts and everything and watching the shows, I get close to 50 to 60 hours a week with this wrestling stuff. And it's a lot of work. But it's definitely worth it. So I know I just said a lot of stuff there. Hope you guys can follow along with what I was saying there. But unless it's like a YouTube show or something like NWA Power or NWA USA, those are the shows I'll do in real time because those are easy to type out and I can pause and stuff like that. It's very hard to do a televised show and do that in real time because of the commercial breaks, and sometimes your remotes act slowly and it gets part where it's not supposed to. NXT 2.0, as much as I enjoy their brand, their picture-in-picture parts of the show really drags for me, especially when I'm typing out the show. It really, really drags, and sometimes I feel like their commercial breaks feel like 5 minutes, and that's not good. So I want to thank Chris, Sam, and Mike for some awesome questions this week. You guys killed it. I loved the questions this week. You guys killed it. I do want to get to this as we wrap up this video portion here in the beginning part of our podcast, and we're gonna get to this now. So, oh man, the thing that's been the tip of the tongue of everybody these days is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And it's rare that I find downtime to catch up with real life events and stuff like that. So I've been watching this trial. They have funny, like YouTube especially has done a good job of like finding like shorter clips where you can kind of catch them with the important stuff during the trial. And they had the witness in his car driving and vaping yesterday, which I thought was tremendous. And he's like, poking fun at the logic of Amber Heard and her crew. The Savior delusional with the stuff they're accusing Johnny Depp of and all this shit. It's just, I'll get into the trial portion first before I get to what I really want to discuss. First off, Mr. Rottenborn, I don't know what his first name is, the lawyer for Miss Heard, is a complete stooge and a clown. Okay, a complete stooge and a clown. How the hell do you eject your own objection? I'm trying to figure it out. I wonder who's more clueless to what they're doing at the same time, Rottenborn or Aubrey Edwards. I'm trying to figure that out. I really am. I think Amber Heard has done a horrible job picking her representation as far as this whole trial is concerned. This is something that's been going on for almost 5 or 6 years now, which is insane. Let's get into this. Like I mentioned before, the two things in life that really pissed me off and things I had no stand for is racism and domestic violence. And domestic violence in all parameters of domestic violence. This is the whole genesis of what this trial is, right? Amber Heard is claiming that Johnny Depp hits her when it's the other way around. She throws this jar of mineral spirits at his face, cuts above the nose, the whole gamut. The stuff that happened in Australia where his finger got severed during the altercation. You hear the audio clips of the arguments that goes on, and then it just reams of delusion and just a general lack of self-awareness in how Amber Heard conducts herself. Now, for full disclosure, I have been a big fan of Johnny Depp for a long time. First time I saw Johnny Depp was not in the movie. The first time I saw Johnny Depp ever was in a Tom Petty music video of one of my favorite songs to play on the guitar called Into the Great Wide Open. And I've been a big fan of Johnny Depp ever since. The Black Mass movie a few years ago was one of my favorites. I know everybody talks about Pirates of the Caribbean and Edward Scissorhands, et cetera, but I've always been a big fan of Johnny Depp. And, you've heard these here and there about the situation between him and Amber Heard. And for me, I like to keep my mouth shut until there's something concrete and some real evidence to really speak on. I really don't like latching on into popular TMZ topics and stuff like that because really I have no time or energy for that stuff. But I'll say this. I know that Johnny Depp is not a perfect person, and nobody is, especially in Hollywood. It's very rare you find people who are actually perfect and good morale type of human beings. And the whole concept of this whole trial is about domestic violence, right? It's one of the things, sometimes even more than other issues around the world, that I really pisses me off. Domestic violence, not only towards women, but domestic violence towards men too. And this is what I really want to talk about today, is the fact that I think there's a general lack of awareness of the way women interact with men. And they're not really cognizant of that. Domestic violence towards anybody should not happen. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if you classify yourself as a lesbian or gay or whatever. Domestic violence just should not happen regardless of what you are. You know what I mean? And I looked at this whole situation, this whole trial, and it's just it brings back a lot of memories and stuff that I've seen and heard of friends of mine before. I never been a witness to domestic violence. Knock on wood, thank God. I know, again, I'm such a staunch advocate that I vouch against domestic violence. I would never condone it, regardless of whatever situation it is. It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier in the show. If you can't communicate throughout your issues and your only resolution is throwing shit at your partner or getting into fights, putting your hands on the guy or girl, I just don't think it's right. And I don't think that's cool at all. It really makes you look like a pathetic piece of shit in my eyes. If you need to hit a woman to make your point across, unless it's something life or death where you really need to defend yourself, that's the only exception. But if it's something so petty and so ridiculous, and the only point you need to make is hitting your partner, you're a piece of shit. It's just that simple. And again, I've never been witness of domestic violence. I know friends of mine who have dealt with it. I know people who seen it before. We all see trials and stuff like that of, domestic violence happen in wrestling too. A lot of stuff in the Speak Out movement has really hindered a lot of careers of professional wrestlers. Hell, this case right now with Kimberly and Dax Carter, a.k.a. Zachary Wentz from NSK and the Rascals, this domestic violence accusation costs Dax Carter his job with the WWE. Recently, he recently won the tag titles at Stand and Deliver and got fired the following week because of accusations of domestic violence. And what I've taken away from this trial is that, recording is very important. And good on Johnny Depp for having the self-awareness to do that, to showcase how delusional and just out of world this woman is. For all the great beauty that she has and stuff like that, she is one of the coolest human beings I've ever seen in my life. I'm not afraid to put over Waterfall. You guys know that about me. I embrace Waterfall and all that good stuff. And she's a beautiful woman, but listen to the tapes of the trial. Go back to the previous depositions video so you see her talking about the situation. It's written all over her face that she's full of shit. And the fortunate part about all of this is that it never needs to happen either. I don't care what your status is in life. I don't care if whatever the dynamic is. I don't even care if you're in a relationship where the guy is 11 years older than the wife. I don't care what the parameters of your relationship is. If the only way to make a point for you is to get into physical altercation and throwing shit at people, you are a piece of shit. There's no room for domestic violence. And I think a lot of women also need to be cognizant of the mental stuff and damage that they do to men. I really do. I think a lot of women lack self-awareness and feel like they can say whatever the fuck they want. They can do whatever they want. And they fear of no ramification or consequence of it because, hey, I can offer up my you-know-what and we can get into bed as a consolation prize and a remedy for whatever issue that's going on. And I don't think that's cool. I don't think that's cool at all. Any physical or mental strain that you're afflicting on your partner is not cool in my eyes. And I feel bad for Johnny. I really do. Because a lot of this stuff has hindered a lot of his stuff in his career. And it's taken away opportunities for him. And again, like I said, Johnny Depp's not perfect. Obviously, we see his issues with drugs and getting arrested before and blah, 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 blah. But, I watched this whole trial and him telling a story about him dealing with a rough childhood. And that was not easy to listen to because I could kind of relate to some of the stuff he was saying. But, even then, it's really sad. It really is. And Amber and her entire defense team has just made her out to be even more of a delusional clown than this whole situation was beforehand. Even before this new revelation of this trial, where they're live streaming this every day for the last 3 weeks, people are already saying that Amber Heard is full of shit and that the justice for Johnny and stuff like that. You know, for me, when it comes to domestic violence, I take this stuff very seriously. But also, I'm not going to rush into conclusions about domestic violence unless there's actual evidence behind it. You know, it's so easy for women to get on their soapbox about things, about, you know, having an argument with their partner and then claiming to their friends the next day saying, oh, we got into an argument and then my husband shoved me into a wall, when that never happened. Oh, we got into an argument about who's paying rent this month or whatever the situation is. And then you go off and tell your friend at work the next day, oh, my partner started to punch me in the face. And all these accusations. And, you know, it's so crazy now that people actually believe anything that comes out of people's mouths. And that's, again, do we as society just generally lack self-awareness? If I look at you the next day, I see no swelling in your eye. You know, having a red eye does not mean you dealt with domestic violence. You know, you're probably dealing with, you know, crime. You know, and all this stuff that's come out of this trial is just really painted her into a really bad light. And I just think it's unfortunate. So hopefully we get some remedy to this situation sooner or later. I think Johnny Depp, you know, ripping the lawyer Rottenborn, the stooge and the clown, has been very funny and entertaining. And as each witness keeps coming up and having these depositions and cross-examinations, it's just painted her in a bad light. No cooperation with the officials. You know, her eyes looking red or pink, just looking more crime more than actual violence. Oh, man, it's just ridiculous. And then you hear the interactions with them, too. It tells you everything you need to know. So I hope Johnny does get justice on this whole situation. It has been a little bit of entertainment for me to follow out with this because this is real life. And every day you can find yourself, you know, I always say it's okay to shoot your shot, you know, get yourself into relations. I think relations are good for people, but also you need to have some self-awareness. Like, you really do. You need some serious self-awareness because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know if you're getting into with somebody with a bad track record. Do they have a past of domestic violence, female or male? Regardless of who you're getting with, you need to have some self-awareness. And if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody and conflict comes up, again, self-awareness, how are you going to carry yourself during that situation? It's really a resolution to a conflict in your relationship is hitting somebody, throwing shit at somebody's face. You know, it's unfortunate. It's something that should not need to happen at all, in my opinion. So, all in all, that's my thoughts on the stuff going on with Johnny Heard and Amber Heard. So, justice for Johnny, and hopefully we get this stuff resoluted soon and Johnny can go back to living his life because this is absolutely insane. All right. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. When we come back, we'll get to what happened this week in WWE right here on the Hoots Podcast. All right, folks. Okie dokie. We're back here on the Hoots Podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. I wonder if I could get it and say it like Michael Cole. WWE. Show started off this past Friday night in Albany, New York. Actually, they taped 2 episodes of SmackDown in Albany, New York. Pretty cool deal for people out there. they taped tomorrow's episode as well, so looking forward to see how that goes. I'm not really a big spoiler guy in wrestling. I don't know how about you. Do you guys like go out of your way to look for spoilers? Are you into that stuff? Because for me, I am not. I'm not down with that crap. But the show did start off with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair having their contract signing for WrestleMania Backlash. Let's hear a little bit of that from this past Friday on SmackDown.
Should have had it before the meeting, but you're learning.
Mr. Pierce, I just want to say I am super pumped for this opportunity, and I am taking it very seriously. In fact, if you wouldn't mind turning your attention to the Titantron, I went ahead and prepared a very special PowerPoint presentation breaking down and analyzing the rules for an I Quit match.
Drew, shut up! Or do you want me to make you quit this new job before you even begin?
Real tough, picking on the intern. It's cute. It's good on you.
Rhonda, guess what? I beat you at WrestleMania! For the last time, I was fixing my bra! You know what? If Rhonda wants to hear the rules so bad, I'll explain them. You want to know what the rules are for an I Quit match? There are no rules. No disqualifications, no countouts, no pinfalls. The only way to win is to make your opponent say, I quit. And I have been fantasizing about all the ways I'm going to make you quit.
This time, no ref is going to pull me off of you. No ref is going to save you and tell you it's over. No. You are going to say, I am better than you. You are going to abandon your baby, the SmackDown title, and you will be spared no humiliation when you say, I quit.
By the way, Charlotte, I love you, but please do not rip the PowerPoint presentations. We love those. Yeah, PowerPoint presentation. Oh, man. I'm kind of curious to see how this match layout's going to be with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair for the I Quit match at Backlash. I will say that. You know, when it comes to this match and this program, I don't know if it's just me, but I have a feeling that the reason why they wanted to go with this route and have this be a prolonged story, because I don't think this I Quit match is the end between the two. I could be proven wrong, but I have a feeling that Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair are going inside Hell in a Cell in Chicago. You heard it here first. I think something's going to happen and Charlotte will try to find a way to maybe get an audio clip of Ronda Rousey saying I quit or whatever. But it'd be a creative loophole, I guess. But I have a sneaky suspicion that this is not going to be the end between those two. I could be proven wrong. Maybe Ronda Rousey will win the title next week at Backlash. But for me, I have a feeling that Charlotte Flair is going to drag this out to Hell in a Cell. I really do. So let's see how this one plays out. But yeah, hey, don't leave Drew Gulak alone. We all like his PowerPoint presentations. By the way, where's Bush at? I'm trying to figure this out. Where's he at? Is he in Oviedo, Florida? Is he in Colorado with Bert Carter, or in Texas? Is he with B-Rob, where his B stinks? His honey stinks, whatever the way Bert Carter say. Is he? Hey, hey, Sam, are you hanging out with Butch? Sam Piopo, are you hanging out with Butch? I need to know. Is he with referee Tony in Boston? I need to know. Hell, hey, Patrick Fritz, I know you're listening to this, you rap bastard. Where's Butch at? You of all people would know where Butch is at. Oh man. So maybe this is a bridge to maybe get Butch back to Pete Dunne's state of mind. Maybe that's why they wanted to have this group in the first place. But Hey, I'm okay with like a Wolverine style character that's completely unhinged. If that's gonna be Butch or Pete Dunne, whatever you want to call him, I'm down with that. I think that'd be pretty cool, actually. We had a backstage segment here with RK Bro and Drew McIntyre. Let's hear a little bit of that.
You know how I said you got last week when I hit that sick pop of RKO on Team Lisa? I got that same feeling tonight because I think I'm going to hit Jay Uso with something even sicker. And I always love coming to SmackDown because I get to see my best buzz from the blueprint. Speak of the devil, what's up, dude? Wait, okay. I know things have gotten a little weird in the past, but I think I got a great idea for a fresh start. So tonight, I signed me and Randy up to be lumberjacks in your match. And Randy, don't worry, you don't have to wear flannel, bro. Right, Drew?
Randy, I saw what happened last week. As far as I'm concerned, anyone that stands up to the Bloodlines BS is getting my back.
Drew, you and me, we're good.
Hey, it's all good in the world of Randy Orton. I trust me, Randy Orton's living a good life in more ways than none. I don't need to explain why, but I think you guys get the drift. I find it very interesting that the opponents for Gunther over the last couple weeks have been guys that we see from AEW Dark and stuff like that. I know this a little bit more because I see these performances. Like they had Joe Alonso a couple weeks ago, and then last week for Friday, as we're talking about this, Teddy Goods was in the program, and he got mollywopped by Gunther. I really enjoyed the Matt Riddle and Jey Uso match from SmackDown. I thought it was fantastic TV match. Looks like Shayna Baszler and Natty wants a shot at the women's tag team titles. I think that'd be a pretty good match, actually, those two. I don't know if they fight on the pay-per-view. It could happen, but we'll have to see for itself. Before we get into the main event and all this stuff that's going on for tomorrow, I do want to play this clip that stood out to me really from SmackDown. I made to try to scale back the Tribal Chief stuff. I don't know what's going on. He didn't come out to the crowd to speak to the audience. But Roman Reigns was on SmackDown this past Friday. And here's the interaction with the Tribal Chief had with Sami Zayn.
We have a guest to see you. It's, Sami Zayn.
Roman, how you doing? Hey, great to see you. Can I just start first and foremost by saying I acknowledge you. I do. I acknowledge you. I gotta say, I'm a big fan. The stuff you've been doing recently with all the smashing and the Superman punching, it is great. You know, there's no dispute. Roman Reigns, head of the table. No question about it. You know what some people sometimes forget? Is that Sami Zayn, in addition to being the master strategist, is also the locker room leader. Yeah, and you've got your own locker room here. You're not worried about all these things. That's fine. But I actually hear and see everything that's going on out there. Just let me give you an example. Earlier, I happened to catch Drew McIntyre getting real chummy with RK Bro. RK Bro have a title unification match with Usos, if I'm not mistaken, right? Well, now, all of a sudden, now they're going to be lumberjacks in my match tonight. It's it's really unbelievable. Look, I would never snitch. I'm not a rat. That's just not who I am. But I happen to hear them say some very disrespectful things about your entire family. Really, look, I guess this all brings me to a little bit of a proposal, okay? See, my name, my reputation as of late has taken hit after hit after hit. And now it's even worse because people actually think I'm afraid of Drew McIntyre, which I am not. What I need, more than anything, is to beat Drew McIntyre, to regain my credibility, to regain the respect that I am owed. I need to beat Drew McIntyre. So I guess what I'm getting at is that if there was some way that maybe I could get some help with that, well, I would be more than happy to help out in return. Trust me when I tell you, I could be a very, very valuable ally. I acknowledge you. I need you to recognize me. Because I acknowledge you. Okay, good talk. I got a thing. And, right. Okay.
So we got people on my show running their mouth about me. Take my name out their mouths.
And that they did. That led into a piercing brawl during the main event of SmackDown this past Friday with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Only Sami Zayn could find his way to escape a lumberjack match. What a stooge and a clown. I thought that was a good backstage story, so I thought it'd be fun to play that for you guys. You know, when it comes to the WWE segments, I want to play a lot of the clips here because I think a lot of stuff with the storylines go over people's head because they're just like going back to that whole confirmation bias thing. They're not really paying attention to what's being said, and I think it's very important to play those clips for you guys to hear some substance and what's going on with the feud. So, yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought SmackDown was okay. I wasn't really too crazy about this week. I will say that Raw's been really picking the momentum up since WrestleMania over SmackDown. And maybe that's only because the Tribal Chief hasn't been doing that much. But, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Raw. The show obviously started off with the 20th anniversary of Randy Orton, which was really cool. It was really funny. For Kevin Owens, man. Like, he is so out there. It's like, I don't know if Kevin Owens is still drunk from WrestleMania with all the stutters and beer that was poured all over him. But he's, like, so incensed with this stuff with Ezekiel, which I think is hilarious. Hey, he is Elias's younger brother. Give the guy a break. He's trying to make a name for himself, pal. So I thought all that stuff was pretty funny. Of course, Seth Rollins got to be trolling everybody and being the party crasher and the stooge and the clown. But I thought that was a good opening segment. The beautiful Bianca Belair retained her Raw title in Knoxville against Sonya Deville, who had a very good appearance on Pat McAfee show this week, which you should check out. Also, another good promo this week from Edge and Damian Priest. I'm not going to play it again because it's a little similar to last week's promo, but I like what's going on with this group. They're called Judgment Day now, so we have to acknowledge Edge and Damian Priest. I think they're doing some good stuff here. I really dig it. Let's see what else happened on the show. We're having a rematch for WrestleMania Backlash. It's going to be Bobby Lashley and Omos. We'll see how that goes down. Some more shenanigans with the 24/7 title. I was really crazy about that either. Let's see. Let's get to the next part of the show. Was the return of Asuka and Becky Lynch. So we got the question earlier for Chris with my thoughts on the return. Hey, if you're going to have a Becky and Asuka non-title grudge feud, I'm here for it. Or even a couple of matches, I'm fine with that. So, I'm all down for it. Becky is really going out there with her outfits, too. I think they should just address it more, and you know, it'd probably make more sense if you just have Becky and Seth being on screen with each other now with their wacky outfits and the way they carry themselves on TV. I just think it'd probably be better to go off that way now as opposed to them being baby faces. Honestly, I think everybody agree. Probably the dynamic between those two didn't work on screen as them being good guys, but with them as heels, I think that could work actually. So. Becky Lynch and Asuka, no problem, no complaints on my end. I'm all down for that. Damian Priest and Finn Balor, thought that was a good match. The backstage with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, I thought was pretty good. Also, we had the return of Mustafa Ali as a guest on Miz TV with the stooge and clown himself, Austin Theory. Let's hear a little bit of that and how that went down.
You are the United States champion. No one comes out here and just demands a title match.
You are the United States. You still work here?
Aren't you the guy that took his ball and went home?
No. I know what this is. You're Mufasa, Mustafa Ali's younger brother.
Mufasa?
You get it? You get it?
That joke was not funny at all. So I'm kind of hoping that Theory is here to announce that he's holding an open challenge for that United States Championship, and I'm kind of hoping that I'm going to be the one to answer it. So what do you say, Theory? You and me for the United States Championship tonight.
You know what? I'll think about it. No!
I mean, why am I not surprised? Aren't you supposed to be Mr. McMahon's protege? Huh? What are you? You got no spine? What are you, all biceps and no balls? What are you scared of, huh? You're out here running your mouth. You're out here running away from a fight. You are out here running away like your name's The Miz.
Hey, hold on a second. You know who you're talking to? This is a former champion, a trailblazer, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. This man don't run away from a fight.
No, I wouldn't. I know exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to use my name to get yourself a little notoriety, aren't you? Let me explain something to you. There is nothing, I mean nothing I would love more to embarrass you right here, right now. But I think you forgot how it works around here. I don't have a magic wand where I can just make a match.
Don't worry, I do. I just text Mr. McMahon, you got a match against Ali right now.
Well, I'm glad that Mustafa Ali stopped going out to Sean Ross Sapp and the dirt sheets to complain about the locker room. I'll say that. I'm a fan of Mustafa Ali, but I would have more respect for WWE performers that go out to dirt sheets to whine about their creative and booking. I'd rather have the balls to just say it on their personal accounts. That's all. If you're going to be a snitch to the dirt sheets, I have no respect for that. But I've always been a fan of Ali as a performer and as a person. So I'm glad to see him back on television. And, if you could probably get a good title match between Theory and Ali for the United States title, I think that'd be pretty cool. I thought Ali's match with Miz was really good. For Raw this past week. Again, I really enjoyed Raw from top to bottom. I thought the show flew really good. Hell, even Corey Graves was enjoyable this week. So it's nice to hear him back on the show. And the show closed off as it should with a nice proper RKO party for Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and the Usos. A fun 8-man tag match to close out the show. I saw people like, oh, this is WWE's attempt of having an AEW tag team match with multiple people in it. No, it's not. The referee was still respected with 8 people in the ring. It's not a Dynamite match. It wasn't a clusterfuck where Rick Knox doesn't know where to pay attention to. No, it was a fantastic match. So I really enjoyed Raw this week. Last couple things I want to mention before we get to the next part of our show. I just want to say that, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about WWE wanting to do more premium live events in stadiums, have more stadium shows and pay-per-views like that. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's good business because I think if you could do at least 4 or 5 shows in the U.S. stadium-wise throughout the calendar year, right? Doesn't have to be every month, but if you can do 4 or 5 throughout the calendar year, make those stand out, get an awesome gate out of it like you would for WrestleMania, obviously. And I think you could do that. And I think to reimagine what a WWE pay-per-view is, I think it's something that's been long overdue. Because, just having your regular Hell in a Cell or Clash Champions or whatever pay-per-view you want to come up at your local basketball arena, I wouldn't say it's passe, but we see what that looks like visually. So I think visually and, from a business standpoint, why not expand the reach of what your premium live events could be? Why not? Why is it only boxing and UFC could have these big time events at Vegas and these other big stadiums throughout the world and stuff like that? I think that's pretty cool. I think it's cool to have stadium events and stuff like that. I think it'd be good business. Expand of what your premium live events could be, and with the fact that there's been a reduce in the pay-per-view calendar schedule that I think I appreciate as somebody who transcribes the shows and everybody else who watches the shows, right? We don't have as much pay-per-views like we did 4 or 5 years ago, but at the same time, this gives more leeway to, stretch out your programs and your storytelling on Raw and SmackDown, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I want to wrap up with this and talk about NXT UK. Today we got brand new episode of NXT UK. We got the press conference for the Jordan Devlin Ilya Dragunov championship match that should be taking place in a couple weeks, which could be another barn burner. We have Saxon Huxley taking on Von Wagner. We have Angel Hayes against Xavier Brookside. Alicia Alexander will be at ringside with company Xavier Brookside. And then the main event this week is Symbiosis against Wild Boar and Mark Andrews. That is going to be an awesome match. So NXT UK, still a fun show to transcribe each week, and I always enjoy documenting that fine program. So we'll see what goes down for NXT UK. And that, folks, right there is what happened this week in WWE. All right, really quick, before we get to our main event segment, I would like to mention a couple things that stood out to me outside of AEW and WWE, and that's Impact Wrestling Rebellion that happened last Saturday. Show transcribed. Very fun show. A couple matches that stood out to me. I just want to talk about really quick was Deonna Purrazzo, the beautiful Taya Valkyrie. I enjoyed that match. Taya is now the new Reina de Reinas champion. We have Ishii and Jonah, which I thought was a fantastic match. Ishii beat Jonah. I loved it. I thought that was awesome. And then Josh Alexander, getting to recapture the Impact World title for Moose. I thought it was an awesome match and a great way to wrap up that pay-per-view. So I thought that was really dope. So all in all, shout out to Impact Wrestling, and I enjoyed their pay-per-view this past Saturday night. So I thought it was very good and worth the money I spent on it. I thought it was a good show, so I just want to give a shout out to Impact. And then, really quick, I want to talk about New Japan. Obviously, everybody knows we got the Forbidden Door show coming up soon, but I want to talk about more of the Wrestling Dontaku show. I want to talk about the current product for New Japan coming up. We had a couple announcements today. Unfortunately, Tatsumi Fujinami and Will Ospreay tested positive for COVID-19. Fujinami was going to be part of the opening 6-man tag match. Now Shingo and Bushi will have to find a mystery partner to take on Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Taka Michinoku. And then we'll get to Will Ospreay's replacement in a couple minutes. But really quick, this card for Wrestling Dontaku, they're at the Fukuoka PayPay Dome in Fukuoka, Japan, obviously. It's a stadium event. This will be a fun show. There's 9 matches on the card. And I'm looking at the card, man. It's really good from top to bottom. Honestly, this is going to be a fun show to type out. For example, you got Hiromu Takahashi against Yo. That's going to be fantastic. Tangaloa against Yujiro. We have the team of 6 or 9, Taguchi and Master Waza, putting their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line against Kanemaru and Doki. Watch out for the Doki Doki! The Italian stretch number 32. Also, we got a triple threat tag team match for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag titles with United Empire's Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan taking on Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. And Bullet Club members Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens. For the Never Openweight title, we have Evil against Tama Tonga. El Desperado puts his IWGP Junior Heavyweight title on the line against Taiji Ishimori. That should be a barn burner. Speaking of barn burners, a match that I rarely get a chance to transcribe, but I always enjoy just the dynamic of it. It's Hiroshi Tanahashi against Tomohiro Ishii for the vacated IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. This is a match that I rarely have had a chance to transcribe. And I'm really excited for it. Obviously, I'm an Ishii mark, but Ishii and Tanahashi for the U.S. title, that should be very interesting. And I know Ishii and Suzuki have been going all over the place in the United States, so they're traveling a lot. Ishii will be back soon in the middle of May for the Capital Collision pay-per-view against Eddie Kingston, I believe. And yeah, you're probably going to see a lot of these guys more in the U.S. soon, too, obviously, because we got this Forbidden Door show at the United Center. But Ishii and Tanahashi will be fighting for the vacated IWGP U.S. title. It is important to check out this match because whoever wins this match, I think Jon Moxley will fight for that title at that pay-per-view. So be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, the main event will be Okada and Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. That's good. Okada and Naito never miss, so it'll be a long match, but it'll definitely be worth it. So I'm really excited for this card on Sunday, May 1st. It's going to be a fucking blast. I'm looking forward to it. It's New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ready Rock and Roll, their big stadium show. This is one of their biggest shows they've done since Wrestle Kingdom, and it should be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure to check out Wrestling.taku later on this weekend. All right, on that note, it's time to give the people what they want, what they need, what they've been waiting for. It's time for another restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. No burnt card this week, but I'm flying solo, and that's okay because we're going to start this bad boy off in a 3, 2, 1.
Beat your meat, beat your meat. Beat your meat, 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 beat your meat.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Alright folks, what the hell is wrong with AEW? aka what isn't wrong with AEW? This week brought to you by the good folks at F4W Online, aka the Wrestling Observer, and Wade Keller and PW Torch. Hey boy, we got a lot to discuss this week. I want to take a little different direction at first before we get to the nonsense that I had to sit through last night on TBS. I found this clip from the 83 Weeks podcast with Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson that really exemplifies a lot of my takeaways from All Elite Wrestling, especially covering the product. You don't have to take my opinion seriously. I may not have the credibility in the wrestling industry, but let's hear comments from somebody who does and actually did it for a living.
But so often when you clip a comment or two and you put it up there and you write about it, a lot of people didn't hear the whole context of the conversation. So they can either interpret it correctly or interpret it the way they want to interpret it, depending on their point of view of me and our show or whatever. But I've been saying from day one, whether it's about WWE or whether it's about AEW, it's a commitment to story. And AEW is proving my point. The fact that they have plateaued, in my opinion, is proving that exact point. You can add whoever you want to your roster, and it won't matter beyond a week or two unless the audience is engaged in a compelling story that makes them look forward to next week. Not because they're just wrestling fans and they want to see a 4-star, Tokyo Dome. No. That's not going to grow the audience. That's going to satisfy the audience you already have. But if
that's how you pay off the story, right? That's not how you build the story.
That's how, yeah, sure. I mean, if you can have that kind of a phenomenal, athletic match, great, and it's a payoff to a story, that's a very good point. That's excellent. That's perfect. But if you're not building stories that people focus on, talk about, relate to, and makes them want to come back every week and see where it's going next, if you're not doing that, I don't give a... You could take WWE's existing roster in its entirety, bring it over to AEW, and nothing is going to happen. So it's story. And until there's first of all, you have to have a basic understanding of how to tell a story. And I don't see it. I don't see it in WWE, and I don't see it in AEW. Listen up.
Let's hear a little bit more from Eric Bischoff from this clip as well.
But he goes, okay, well, we've added every sumbitch we could find that's available, and some massive names and incredible talent.
Yeah.
And it's not really growing the audience. You look at AEW last week, look at their quarter hour, Brandon Thurston, who, turns himself into a fucking pretzel every week trying to spin things as best he can for AEW. And he does a tremendous amount of research, and there's all kinds of cool graphs and colors and all kinds of information that's not in any kind of context at all, but it's a lot of information. But you look at his quarter hour breakdown that I saw last week, and AEW took a precipitous drop from their lead-in. In terms of numbers, maybe 100,000 viewers they opened up with, and it was a pretty significant drop into the next quarter hour. You don't want that. As a television producer, that is the kiss of death. When you can't maintain the audience for your lead-in, the expectation is, especially in prime time. Now, if you're on at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, nobody really cares too much. But when you're in the sweet spot of prime time, which is 8 to 10, that it doesn't get any better than that time slot. And your lead-in does better than you do, and you can't hold that audience. I trust me when I tell you this, and I don't give a fuck what anybody else says that's never been in the television business, that's never sold television, that's never produced television, that's never made a living in the television industry. If you're an executive, in a program executive, and you're going, wow, look what happened to our 8 to 10 time slot. They had a great lead in, and they lost 10% of the audience. That trust me when I tell you this, the expectation, or the goal at least, is that if you open up with 1.3 million from 7 to 8, the expectation is you're going to do 1.5 million to 1.6 million in the 8 to 10 time slot, because that's a sweet spot of prime time. And when you fail to do that, not only maintain the audience, but actually lose a percentage of it, there are going to be influences within the television management of what is soon to be Discovery that'll go, wait a minute, that's not how this shit works. What are we doing here? That's not what we want. That's where the risk is, by not growing the audience. And that's just a fact. That's how television works. So I'm begging, please. Tony Khan already has some of the best minds that you could buy, because he did, surrounding him. He doesn't have to bring anybody else in. And by the way, I'm not pitching for a job. I wouldn't go to work for AEW and Tony Khan, not because I don't respect them, and I probably would get along great with Tony if we ever sat down and
I'm sure
chatted. It's not that. It's just that in my life, where I'm at, there is no way I would step into that arena again. Just don't have it in me anymore. But it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people around Tony right now that have it. Now, what they don't have is somebody that can convert all of that great wrestling knowledge that Tony Khan is surrounded with and turn it into a kind of a structured formula that works, that they can go to. Take out this storyline, plug in this storyline. Yes, you got to change it up. It's a different storyline. It's different characters. But the formula remains the same. And until that happens, neither WWE, which they're not doing it either, they're working their ass. And I know a lot of the writers that are there. A lot of them I have tremendous amount of respect and affection for, truly. But they're not able to execute what they know how to do, because you've got one guy at the top that makes up his mind, and it is what it is. We all know it. In AEW, they just haven't found their feet yet, and I'm praying that they do, because until they do, the audience is going to stagnate, and they're always going to be vulnerable to the next team of management to come in and have a different opinion about what they should be doing with the most valuable real estate in their entire schedule.
I mean, it's one thing for me to come on here each week and tell you about the repetitive formatting, and that all angles usually start with a afterbirth brawl, or, you know, we have this 30-minute Broadway match on AEW Dynamite to kick off the show, or Rampage. And it's one thing to embrace an audience, and good on you, Tony Khan. You care so much, so much about people in chat rooms and subscribers to dirt sheet sites and all that. That's great. That's awesome. Good for you. You had that audience. That audience is not going to grow. It's not going to go anywhere. What you heard right there is a prime example of everything that I've mentioned on this podcast in regards to this promotion since 2019. Everything. Even since we started doing this segment. This segment is not directed, or the intention is not to bring down AEW and, you know, they suck and blah 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 and they can't do anything right, blah 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 blah. What the intention of the segment is to open your eyes from the minutia and the hyperbole that you see on Twitter and listening to some of these talk shows every single day. You know, there's a lot of hyperbole and stuff that comes with AEW that you see plastered and flooded all through Twitter every single week, every time there's a Dynamite or a Rampage on, and they just spew out a lot of hyperbole, and you would think this is the greatest thing ever since sliced bread. And what we do here at the Hoots Podcast, we keep things in context and keep it 100. I want AEW to be good. I've gone to AEW events. I have an AEW hoodie. Believe it or not, folks, I am an AEW fan. I've covered and transcribed every single event that AEW's done since the inception of the first show they did for Double or Nothing. And All In too, by the way. For those who may want to claim that I just live in a WWE bubble, I don't. Hell, I spend more time at AEW and at New Japan and Impact than I do in WWE. And I said it from the beginning, and I said it when I was doing the NXT versus AEW review shows with Jonathan Hood. I'm not going to sit here and give AEW a Nobel Peace Prize because you're just a new company. There's been a lot of excuses, and I see a lot of things, you know, marketed about AEW about, they're going to right the ills of the WWE. They're going to save wrestling. They're going to do all these things. But anytime I come up with constructive criticism, or guys like Eric Bischoff come up with constructive criticism, people need to automatically bring in, it's just a new company. They're young. They're 3 years in. You know, you can't expect that much out of them. Well, what am I supposed to expect for a company that calls themselves All Elite Wrestling? This is the company that has all the answers to modern wrestling fans in 2022, right? This is the promotion that has the answers to all your ills and stuff that you hate about the WWE, right? That's the purpose of this promotion, right? Is that the only identity that I could attain for this promotion for the last 3 years? Because I can't find that identity on their Dynamite shows or Rampage, because all the wrestling matches look the same. The way they get to their angles, they're all the same. Every week, you're live from AEW Dynamite. Like, I don't need to even try to predict what the format of the show is going to be because I already know it's going to be. Oh, AEW. It's AEW Dynamite. And you know what that means. And then it's like, I know the drill. Oh, we're getting CM Punk. After that, the next match would be a trios match with the Blackpool Comedy Club. After that, we got Wardlow and MJF. This has been going on for 2 straight months. And I said it last week on the podcast. You're not going to rekindle the same energy of CM Punk's debut in AEW at the United Center. If that's Tony Khan's intention. And this, I say the drop the low theory for a reason. There's nobody backstage who, like Eric Bischoff says, that looks over the show. There's no aspect of a television show that goes on with Dynamite each week. There's no aspect to it. The flow of it just never meshes well. You have matches that overstay their welcome, and you have misplaced backstage segments that should be placed earlier in the show. And the fact of the matter is, all the wrestling matches are just about the same. So you have, I know it's one thing that I'm guaranteed every single week with Dynamite, maybe 2. One, I know CM Punk's kicking off the show, and secondly, either the main event or there'll be a match throughout the program that's going to be a hardcore match. That's my 2 guarantees I get every single week. And maybe if they're a sloppy-ass tag match with shitty officiating, we could count that as 3. So, all in all, as I'm saying here, in this soliloquy here, is that there's no resemblance of a television show. I'm watching a super indie show with more production values to it. There's nothing unique about it. The wrestling style I can see in GCW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, New Japan, etc., etc. There's nothing unique that makes AEW. When I watch AEW and I try to figure out what their identity is, I can't find it. I still can't. Even 3 years in. And when you call yourself All Elite Wrestling, and I love this narrative that I hear on podcasts is, well, WWE started this when Triple H took a shot at them at the Hall of Fame. Well, didn't we forget a few months prior to that where the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and the Elite decided that they wanted to have a fucking a rally around one of the arenas in front of Raw? Did we conveniently forget about that too? So it was just Triple H that started this war, right? Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's talk about what else happened on this fucking ridiculous show that happened last night. So, like I said, there you go. It's live. It's AEW Dynamite. And CM Punk comes out. We got Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler to kick off the show. They've been promoting this match. This has been a qualified match for the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament. CM Punk's on commentary. We got to have CM Punk to kick off every show, right? And I thought the match with Dax and Cash was good. I'm not really surprised. Of course, they would have a good match. If you're a pretty good and prominent tag team, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have a good singles match as well. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that opening part of the match. They announced that Hangman Page will put his AEW World title on the line against CM Punk at Double or Nothing. Let's hear what CM Punk has to say.
CM Punk challenging Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. What a main event that's going to be. Wow. All right. Well, CM Punk with microphone in hand. As Mills Lane would say, let's get it on. Las Vegas, big fight. May 29th, live on pay-per-view.
Returning to Vegas for the first time in 3 years.
All right, we're going to walk and talk, and I'm going to try to keep this short because I want to keep the action going. How about Dax and Cash? Ladies and gentlemen, I've never been in a locker room that is full of more talent than here in AEW. I don't know, 7, 8 months ago, before I walked through the curtain for the first time in 7 years, I asked myself a question, and that question was, Can I still do this? And now I can proudly stand here in front of my fans in Philadelphia and I can say, hell yeah, I can still do this.
Punk and Heyman Page for Double or Nothing. No complaints on my end. All good there. Guess what we had next? Blackpool Comic Club against The Factory. Yeah, elongated match where we need to have Yuta in the ring 90% of it. My lord. A little odd segment here with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker and Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. I wasn't really crazy about that. Looks to be a little tension brewing between Christian and Jungle Boy. As soon as Jungle Boy can get away from the freaky Jurassic Express, the better that boy will be off. They'll look to be putting their tag team titles on the line soon against Team Taz. I think that should be a good match. Wardlow ran through Lance Archer. We can say it's official now here on April 28th at 10:28 a.m. that Lance Archer is completely wasted in AEW. You know the meme? All of it. Lance Archer is wasted in AEW. Let's get back to the crap. Jericho, Appreciation Society, and Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston in the ring. Let's play this.
Like I said before, the earth is 4.5 billion years old, and you are lucky enough to be living in the Chris Jericho era. And yet you deprived the fine people of Pittsburgh from seeing Chris Jericho last week when you had us kicked out of the arena on Rampage. It's what people pay to see. You pay to see the Jericho Appreciation Society. And you took that away. And therefore, I'm demanding that you apologize to me. Now! Yeah, apologize to all 5 of us! Now!
You want an apology from us, Christopher? Where are my manners? Matter of fact, I have something better than an apology. Give me a second.
Ortiz ended up giving Jericho the middle finger. This was complete and utter trash. I have nothing positive to say about this stuff with the Jericho Appreciation Society. They did a little angle later on the show where Chris Jericho threw a fireball at Eddie Kingston's face because we need to do that in 2022. I didn't know we're still in Memphis. So I don't care. Just with every Inner Circle feud or Jericho Appreciation Society or Donald Trump's favorite wrestling group, I don't give a shit. I don't care. So we'll have probably another singles match with Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, Double or Nothing, and it'll be whatever. So looks like Wardlow will be fighting W. Morrissey on Dynamite next week. I don't have a problem with that. I'm happy for the rise back for William Morrissey's career, and I'm glad to see he's back on his feet doing his thing. He's doing a lot of good stuff on Impact. So looks like NJF is hiring Morrissey to come take out Wardlow. It won't happen, but I'm glad Morrissey is getting a shot to come out for AEW next week. So I think that's pretty cool. Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb, match number 5, Philly Street Fight, and that's the last Hikaru Shida Serena Deeb match. Thank God. Really didn't really care about that. Speaking of things that go absolutely nowhere, we had this very odd segment with Alex Abrahantes doing most of the talking. You got House of Black laying out Fuego del Sol, all just to lead into the return of Rey Fenix. So the never-ending feud of House of Black and Death Triangle continues on. Hey, I saw the match at Revolution. It was good. I even saw the tag match that they had in Chicago for Dynamite back in February. End this feud for once and all. We got Darby Allin and Swerve Scott on Rampage on Friday. I think that should be a good match. I'm looking forward to that. The 10-man tag was a waste of my time with the Undisputed Elite. That was just a match to pad stats. Really don't have much to say there. Lineup for Rampage this week is Samoa Joe against Trent Beretta for the ROH TV title. Should be decent. Keith Lee's taking on Colton Gunn. Really no comment there. Hook will have a face-to-face confrontation with Dan Clanson. Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, and Kiera Hogan taking on Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale, and Trish Dora in a 6-woman tag match. And then, like I mentioned, Darby Allin and Straight Strickland and a TNT, in the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament qualifying match. So, Rampage should be decent this week. I'm looking forward to it. Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky, main event, ladder match for the TNT title. I've seen it all, folks. Now we have barbed wire ladder matches. My Lord, man. This is where the part of the show where I like to remind you that I take all audience reactions from AEW with a grain of salt, because, you know, it's one thing to have a live and very vivacious and obnoxious crowd while a match is going on. That doesn't mean that match is good. That layout of that match absolutely sucked. I am happy, and I think the right guy won the match, so I will say that before people get down my throat with this stuff. But I'll say this. I'm happy that Scorpio won, but I just need Sammy Guevara off my TV. This is the second consecutive hardcore gimmicky type of match where Guevara's done some stupid dive off of something, and he needed to be reevaluated at ringside by the doctors and the referees. Just get this dude off of television, please. I'm so tired of this crap. Paige Van Zant, though, very nice to see on my screen, so I will say that as well. So, again, like when I get to the point where I start dozing off during a show while transcribing, I think that's a problem. Like, literally, I was typing out the article once the Dynamite was over, and I got to the 10-man tag match. Literally, I just knocked out for 20 minutes because I was so bored and drained out while typing that out. The first match and all with Dax and Cash, I thought that was cool, but the rest could go the fuck home and stay the fuck home, and it was very, very boring. So, on that note, that's my thoughts on what happened this week in AEW, and, as we like to call it here in the Hoots podcast, what the hell's wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Alright guys, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me for this week's edition of the Hoots podcast. Episode 307 down, 193 more to go. The road to 500 continues. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Hoots podcast, which just type in your search engine. It'll be easy to find. Same thing applies to anywhere you get your podcasts from, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Breaker, or even iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio, which is pretty cool. Make sure to subscribe to the Hoots podcast. Leave us an honest review and rating. Let us know what you like or dislike about the podcast. We're always open to any constructive criticism or things, or even praise for the Hoots podcast. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you like. Twitter and Instagram at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to support Bernard Carter's work at DerekStyle.com at WrestlingRumors.net. Speaking of Bernard Carter, he'll be back here next week for our live edition of the Hoots Podcast, where we make our WrestleMania Backlash predictions. No! So it's going to be a blast. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Make sure to check out Wrestling.Taku this weekend. It's going to be a blast. I'm Joshie. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. This has been episode 307 of the Hoots Podcast. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Yes, sir.